Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving into some PvP with the new Super Evolution Jewelry Bonnie V1. And this particular unit becomes very interesting because she's now cerebral, which means she can be used alongside a lot of the new Vegapunk characters. She's going to be featured in a lot of cerebral-based teams. However, over here in Rumble, she still only boosts Int. Now, that's not the end of the world because obviously all the Vegapunks are Int and Cerebral, so you can do some really nice synergy stuff with them, and that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. In today's video, I have prioritized utilizing stuff like Atlas, Dr. Vegapunk, and Lilith all on the same team. Recently, we've had obviously all the Vegapunks release. The rare recruits don't really hold too much place in PvP, and honestly, neither does Lilith really, but Vegapunk isn't terrible, and Atlas is actually really good, so I really wanted to include them all on one team and take on some of the challenge fights in today's video. Now, Int Cerebral has got very, very good at taking down Psy. I think nowadays the best place that you're going to see the Int Cerebral team is when you are going up against Psy enemies, whether it be Psy Free Spirit, whether it be regular Psy. You've got stuff like V2 Shanks, you can run Conus, there's Bonnie with her special rollback, Vegapunk does really, really well, with his level limit break, Robin and Koala with their nerfing of Free Spirits. You can do some really, really nice stuff, and you can easily tear through Psy Free Spirit lineups. And if you can find Psy teams, which is what we kind of do in today's video as well, you're going to have a really, really good time. On top of that, the Int PvP plethora is very stacked. Like, you can use stuff like S-Hawk, you've obviously got you've got Cat Viper, you've got Ace, you've got the Giants in Brody and Dory, you can run Shiki if you're going up against slasher teams. You kind of have a lot of options going your way, and if you wanted to sort of push more of a cerebral setup, you could use stuff like the new legends as well, being Moria, Perona, and Dofi and Sugar. However, as mentioned, Bonnie is going to work best when you are running a mono Int team, whether it be Int Cerebral or just Int in general, depending on what you're coming up against. That's where she's going to shine the most, and she got some very big buffs and became a very nuisance-y kind of unit in Rumble. Very similar to what Nami Karina's doing, Cross Guild's doing, with all this rollback and debuffing. She can be a very interesting unit for your lineups, and when you're going up against Psy, she works exceptionally well. But they took down shooters very nicely. That challenge is actually fairly challenging, and managed to get it done fairly easily. As mentioned, though, you are going to have the most success with Int nowadays against Psy. Once upon a time, Psy just steamrolled pretty much everything. Int didn't really stand a chance, but even with some of the better Psy teams, stuff with like Gear 5 and Odin and whatnot, that we don't really see in today's video, you can easily still do some really crazy stuff with these lineups, and I've done it with the Int Cerebral team. I put out a bunch of videos when Atlas released, when V2 Shanks got his 6+, when Vegapunk released. We basically just bullied a whole bunch of side teams and managed to get it done fairly easy. But why is Bonnie so good? Why does she kind of find a place on the Int team? Well, with level limit break 5, she gives level 6 attack and HP to Int characters, and then she just gives a flat level 5 defense down to all enemies. It's really, really strong. Level 5 defense down is, sure, you could say it's only level 5, but when you start partnering it up with characters like when you start partnering it up with stuff like Conus, Robin, Koala, and you're doing a lot of nerfing just with pure passives, you can output a lot of damage, as you saw there with Atlas, just going to the absolute wazoo with regular attacks and regular shots. If you don't have her level limit break 5, you're only getting level 5 attack and HP, and then a level 3 defense down. The level 5 defense down debuff, that jump is actually massive, especially, like I said, when you are partnering it up with other units that can debuff as well, and namely when you are going against side teams. That way you can just sort of run their defenses to the ground and kill them before they have a really chance to get going and buff up all their stats. In saying that, though, I would always like a character that is buffing my team rather than debuffing the enemy. The upside to this is that she debuffs all enemies by level 5. Like, it's not like she's just picking out side characters. She's not picking out Free Spirit. She's not picking out slashers. She's literally targeting all units, giving them a level 5 defensive debuff. And if you start bringing in stuff with cooldown reduction, have your specials going off first, having that first window of the first 30 seconds of the fight, where your specials are going off first, and the enemy hasn't had a chance to increase their stats or lower yours, you can do some really, really nice things. You can get a lot of damage output with characters like Atlas, which is taking on Sai. Shanks can go very, very hard. He can hit very, very quickly. Uta does a lot of damage as well. And Robin Koala can go to the absolute wazoo when taking on that Sai Free Spirit team, because they have the ability to lower defense for Free Spirits as well. And you can just output a lot of damage with all of their specials. So against Sai, like, it's really chalk and cheese now. Once upon a time, like, Sai wasn't a really good spot. And even with, like, Sai characters that can either nerf the int team, like Kuzen can, like, it doesn't really affect you all that much. The problem with int going up against Sai 2 was there was a lot of driven powerhouse characters, and now we've moved away from that driven powerhouse meta into this kind of cerebral one, where the characters like Wana Law really don't stand a chance anymore. However, these Sai teams aren't the best teams that you've seen, and like I said, I have versed them already. But Gear 5, V2 Odin, Super Tandem Shanks, like, those characters are the echelons of the Sai team nowadays, and whilst this isn't exactly like the showing that we want to show, I just, again, wanted to run a whole bunch of Vegapunk characters on the same team. Now, the upside to Bonnie that I find her, like, why I find her so appealing for the team, rather than her passive debuffing, is what she can actually debuff with her special. At level Limit Break 5, she inflicts level 7 attack down to all enemies in a large range for 20 seconds, gives int characters a level 7 attack up buff, and then reduces 40% of the cooldown of 3 enemies with 70% or higher HP. Now, this is actually really, really good. Having the special rollback is insane, especially because she does it to 3 characters, as well as lower his attack, so you can actually tank some more damage. She also does this on a 27-second cooldown, which is really, really short, which means that you can actually get this off very, very quickly. And it's very nice for that to happen, because getting that rollback works great if she goes first, and the enemy already has their specials ready to go. On top of that, you have characters like Vegapunk who can also roll back. If you wanted to run maybe like a bit more of a cerebrally setup, you can throw Nami Karina just like in the mix if you really want to. Obviously, moving away from more of a int standpoint and into a cerebral standpoint, but if you have a bunch of characters that can just roll back specials, you can do some really nice things. And the upside to this special rollback mainly is for characters like Om. Having a character that can halve stats, roll back specials even more if you're using side characters like Om can, like, you can just basically stop the team from doing anything, and it works very, very nicely. The downside to her is it only targets 3 enemies with 70% CT or above. At level in break 1, it's 80% or above, so I don't understand why they reduced that, but hey, we're here, and that's what they decided to do. A really formidable team that has a lot of Sai units on it is actually Slashers, and funny enough, I found that the int cerebral based build works really nicely against some of these slasher based teams. Obviously, this is missing the big one in S-Hawk, but I do actually take on the S-Hawk challenge later and actually get the win. And ideally, I probably wouldn't run something like Lilith. Lilith isn't really providing all that much besides CD reduction, but you could easily just run something like Apu, just to give more CD. But as I was saying at the start of the video, even if you're not running like an int cerebrally setup and more going towards the int-centric field that Bonnie that can buff, you can run a lot of very, very powerful characters. Like I said, you have Brogy if you're versing Strikers, you have Shiki if you're versing Slashers, you have Ace and Om if you're versing Sai units, and just throwing Shiki into a lineup and allowing him to be buffed by literally the entire team is really strong. Obviously, characters like Atlas and Vegapunk, they do stuff with Cerebrals and Int characters, and obviously like S-Hawk on the bench is doing stuff with Int and Slashers. You can still give Shiki a lot of buffs that he needs to survive, give him a lot of attack, and when he does something like this, he can basically just destroy an entire Slasher lineup with one special and just guarantee you the win, purely because you're now running an 8-man team against a 3-man team. Now, 99% of the time that's going to work. Obviously, there is the 1% chance that you come up against like a counter unit that can kill you at the back end of the 3. However, the downside is as I mentioned, even though he is getting a lot of buffs from the int side of things, he is lacking those cerebral buffs. And like I said, this is the Kawamatsu challenge. This one's a little bit older, but the fact that you can just have Shiki go at any point, even throw him on the bench and have him come in to attack, means that you can just easily take down some of these bigger teams. And as mentioned, Slashers are one of the biggest teams running around right now. And just having Shiki as an available option for your front lines, having him survive just that little bit amount of time, not get hit by a particular unit, means that you can actually just get a guaranteed kill. Now, this is not going to be a surefire way to guarantee your wins, but having Bonnie into an int-based lineup, probably with a bit of a different lineup than what your 3 cerebral characters are doing, you can easily just continuously roll back specials, prevent stuff like S-Hawk, stuff like Wipe It and Roger from killing your characters because of this special rollback mechanic, and then having a unit like Shiki literally just destroy the entire team. So I did find that Bonnie worked exceptionally well against Slashers. Obviously, I'd love to see how Bonnie could go with probably a bit more defined team, boosting the entire int lineup rather than sort of having those sort of cerebral characters there, going in against a bigger Slasher team and seeing how it goes. But as you can see here, like, Atlas is just such a powerful character, man. Atlas hits so hard. She actually takes out Roger and Roger and Whitebeard, which is what got us the win there. Bonnie will then roll back everyone's specials to sort of prevent us from getting hit by something like S-Hawk. But just like I said, keeping characters alive long enough, or keeping Shiki alive long enough to just do something like this, means that you can actually rumble with some of those top teams. Now, again, it's not a surefire way, but it's just something I really wanted to showcase, because I do think that the int team could be one of those sleeper teams that come through and take down the Slasher team in the future. But let me know your thoughts and opinions of Bonnie in the comment section below. Obviously, int's starting to get a lot more support. Hopefully they continue this into Anniversary, because look, even with all these buffs, I do think int still needs a lot of help over in the PvP game mode. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. While you're down there, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.